I am Patrick Yoes, National President of Fraternal Order Police. This is the Blue View. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us with us today, coming all the way across the ocean, coming here from Australia to talk to us about some programs that exist in Australia and how a partnership that we're creating. We have Rob Vellar and we also have Rob Macaulay. Before we get started, I really want to talk about this success that exists in Australia and New Zealand with service dogs. But before we do, how about telling our listeners and our viewers a little bit about each one of you?
Yeah, thanks, Pat. Rob Vellar here. I was a police officer for 23 years in the New South Wales Police. At one stage, I was the youngest police officer in the state, joining at 18 years and 6 months, graduating when I was 19, and stayed in the police for 23 years. Had a lot of frontline experience and spent some time in police legal services before leaving in 2012 after attaining the rank of chief inspector, and moved to our consumer affairs agency to become one of the assistant commissioners at New South Wales Fair Trading. After that, had a little bit of a political staffer career and went into the private sector. But 12 months ago, I took the role as chair of Greyhounds Australasia, which essentially is the peak body that sits above the state racing agencies. Significant components of the racing industry is the welfare of the animals, and that's how we've come to partner with New South Wales Police and the Australian Federal Police, is providing dogs to frontline workers, because we're marrying up mates and dogs as mates to frontline workers. I mean, dogs provide loving, caring friendships, and having been a frontline police officer, I think that's a very special thing for frontline officers to do. It's something added, it's an added value, and really proud to hook up these dogs that need a home at the end of their careers to people who might find a bit of benefit by having a new mate.
Oh, great. And Rob?
Thank you very much for having us, Patrick, and the whole FOP. It's absolutely thrilling to be here in Washington, DC, and to bring some of our dogs here and to talk to you good folks about what we can do together. My background is I'm currently the Chief Executive Officer of Greyhound Racing New South Wales, and before that, I've been acting for them for a long time. Before that, I was a commercial lawyer for many years, and I have a great interest and love in greyhound racing, and therefore greyhound rehoming and greyhounds as pets. And we're very pleased to be able to sort of segue off programs that we have running in Australia. We have a fantastic guy who is really a world recognised greyhound trainer sitting in New South Wales as our head of canine training, a tremendous fellow by the name of Steve Austin. Great name too.
$6 million man, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. But Steve suggested to us some time ago, he runs a brilliant program called Defence Community Dogs Australia, and they are training really stray dogs to be PTSD dogs for returned servicemen. And he suggested to us that our greyhounds were the perfect demeanour or tempered dog to do that work. And so we've gone down this path with him, and we've set up these fantastic mutual arrangements with both the Australian Federal Police and the New South Wales Police to train dogs specifically for their so often enough retired police officers, sometimes medically retired, but specifically trained at sort of at 3 levels of PTSD training: a sort of PTSD companion at the lowest end, and then specifically PTSD trained, and then full PTSD assistance dogs at the top end, and it's been going really well. So we're some people in Australia, as you know, have reached out to you, and we're thrilled to be here talking turkey with you folks.
Well, again, we got the phone call from our counterparts in Australia, from Federation, and talked about the success of the program. So, if we could, let's just talk about the success of the program itself, working with the unions, how that works, how does it look, and how do what's been the successes in Australia and also in New Zealand of having these dogs that have finished their, usually probably about the age of 5. Mm-hmm. So 5-year-old greyhounds that are transitioning into becoming, they're just amazing animals, beautiful animals, and the disposition and how that has aided, successes within each one of these countries.
So they are amazingly tempered animals. I think they might make the perfect modern pet. They are absolutely lively when you want them to be, and then they'll be happy to sleep for 22 hours a day. People think they're running around all the time, and I'll tell you they're not. They'll chase when they want to chase, but apart from that, they're a kind of lean-in dog. If you're standing next to a greyhound, they're always touching you. They're leaning on your leg or something, so they're very close dogs to people. And if we were sitting here, the greyhound was sitting here, it would have his chin on your knee. And so they're very companionable sort of dogs. And we have, in New South Wales, we have at any time a racing population of about 8,000 greyhounds, and about 3,500 retire every year. And we spend a great deal of time rehoming them, retraining them, just taking that bit of chase out of them, because they've spent a couple of years racing around tracks and doing what they really love to do, which is run fast. They're sight hounds. They've been bred for 8,000 years, this most noble of dog, to chase and chase fast. Yeah. And it doesn't take, surprisingly enough, it does not take very much effort to convert them, if you like, from a racing dog to a family pet or a personal companion. And so we do that. We put them through a program called Greyhounds Pets, and we've got specific kennels that we own and trainers who do this. And at the end of a couple of months with us, they find their forever home, as we call it, in somebody's house, and you usually lose your couch and they take up residence there.
That's great. Some of the successes they've had, either one of you, that successes where you've paired them off with, a big move, and certain, rightfully so, about is therapy pets. Anything from equine to dogs are a perfect example. And we see them all over. It's something that's really a trend that's going. And I know we use them in law enforcement a lot. They use them in the military a lot, just as companions. They really do have an amazing sense of knowing the temperament of their partner, and know ways in order to be able to de-escalate. Let's talk about some of those successes that either one of you that if you've seen in some of the placements that you've had in.
I think when we launched the program in Sydney, it was very telling. We had a police officer from regional New South Wales, and she owned Greyhound, and she brought it down for the launch, and she spoke about the dog really giving her comfort in a time of need. She had the dog while she was still in active service and had come home after a night shift, lived by herself, but the dog was there and provided great companionship, and she then had some work-related trauma, and the dog provided that assistance to her. So she was really beneficial for the story, and it was a great story, and it was about real assistance that this animal provided her. So we've had a good degree of success with applicants from both New South Wales and the Australian Federal Police, and there are fair to say there's a different category of need for various officers. Some are very happy to have the garden variety pet, and some need that want that a dog trained to a greater level of assistance. And we're going through that, as Rob said, with Steve Austin. So, and to us, it's not really about the volume of dogs, but that service being there for our frontline workers, our police officers and retired officers that want one.
You know, obviously, you talk about service dogs. I mean, two categories here. One, the pets. The second one is those service dogs. Those service dogs really need to be trained along with the, with the person that they're assigned to. It's kind of hard to do that, from Australia if you look at, here in the States. How do you envision that happening?
Actually, I think we will be able to do it because we are rapidly developing very good relations with various greyhound associations here and various excellent trainers. Steve Austin has really a worldwide network of great trainers, and we can get a dog 90% the way there as a PTSD dog, and then as you talk about, Patrick, the real sharp end work is done one-on-one with the person to find the particular traits or the tells of that person. And watching Steve work with these dogs is astounding. I mean, people have all sorts of different traits or tells of their nervousness or their PTSD symptoms, and whether that's tapping their leg or whether it's sweating or whether it's talking loud. He will train dogs to do different things, whether it's stand in front of you or stand behind you or lean against your leg or lick your face to wake you up from a nightmare. He does all of these astoundingly good things, and so the dog is syncopatic with its owner, which is deeply impressive. And I think that we will be able, notwithstanding that we're 14,000 miles away, I think we will be able to develop, or Steve will be able to develop the right trainers here to do this. He is extremely keen on this program, and I think it's because there's a very long history of great mateship between Australia and the United States.
Absolutely.
Our police in New South Wales and federally, our Australian Federal Police, of course, started this relationship or introduced us to you, and that is part of a great cross-Pacific partnership that has, a century or more of tradition to it. So we're really looking forward to doing this. There's a great, I suppose, fraternity between both Australians more generally and police officers specifically around the world. And if it works for New South Wales and Australian Federal Police, I'm sure it will work out here, and we're very much looking forward to getting into it.
No doubt. And you're right. We do have a great working relationship, our counterparts in Australia too. I talk to them for sure every quarter, but often a lot more than that. We share a lot of our common needs. One thing I can tell you that I've learned being in this position and being part of an international group, we all deal with the same problems. And we just maybe a little different ways of solutions on how to fix them because of a locality or where we are, but we all dealing with the same problems in modern policing and in representation of law enforcement officers. So when we got the phone call and said, hey, what do you think about this? And looking at the success of the program, it was kind of our board didn't hesitate at all. So, which brings us to where we are now, and the reason why you two are in town and others from your group is here to formalize a relationship with Fraternal Order Police in order to duplicate the successful programs that exist in New Zealand and Australia in pairing animals off with those that are in need, both with service dogs and also for pets as well. Let's talk a little bit about that relationship and how it will work across a vast ocean like that, but still at the same time, same exact issues that we're all dealing with. So,
okay,
go for it.
So the way it'll work is we select very specifically it genuinely is the cream of the crop for this program. We've got about 3,000 dogs retiring and being rehomed in New South Wales every year, and Steve Austin comes and selects. He's familiar with them all going through the program, and he really skims the cream of the crop for these programs, and then specifically trains them. And only about 20% of those dogs will go on to be the highest level of service dog, but all of them will be great somewhere in the line from a pet to a service dog. all of them find their niche and all of them find the right owner. We spend a great deal of time and effort pairing a dog with a person. When I say a great deal of time and effort, we get to know people and we already know our dogs and we literally matchmake them. And so it's not just selecting the next dog that comes along. We are selecting dogs to suit a particular person or a particular family, how they live, what their lifestyle is, what their demeanour is, even whether it's hot and cold, if they live in Arizona or if they live in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And so it's very tailored, and we know the dogs before they will leave Australia and who they will be going to.
Yeah.
And then it's a matter of getting onto the right greyhound people here, and America has a great richness in people who absolutely love various breeds of dogs, and within them, there are greyhound people. And of course, we had a number of greyhound people turn up at Capitol Hill today with some wonderful greyhounds, and so they are our partners really in delivering the program into the United States. They spend the time getting to know people. They provide what you might call the aftercare work or the servicing after the fact, and so it's quite an advanced program. We're very good at it in New South Wales at home. We will become excellent at it in the United States, and I know we've got good partners. People are truly enthusiastic and care a lot about the outcome, and so that will make it a success naturally.
Yeah. And you mentioned aftercare, Rob. One of the questions raised back in Australia was, if I'm going to take on a pet, I want one to be healthy, fit. I don't want to be spending lots of money on vet bills. And different breeds can have different problems, but these dogs are a little bit unique because they're retired athletes.
Yeah.
And they've been, they're built to be fast and strong, and they have very little ailments.
And durable. They have not been bred for looks. These dogs have been bred for thousands of years.
Although they're cute.
To be healthy. They do look good. They do look good. But they've been bred to be healthy and durable and fast.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And so you're not getting a dog. We hear about so many modern breeds of dogs that they have hip problems, or they've got arthritis problems, or they've got some other problem. Greyhounds are like a number of other working dog breeds. They have been bred for durability. Weakness gets weeded out effectively by breeding over many centuries, and so they're very durable and healthy dog. And again, you're getting the cream of the crop. So they have full dental. They've got everything. They've had the vet once overs or the vet 10 times overs to before they're even on the program. So it's a good product, and they're great dogs. They're beautiful, and they become instantly part of somebody's home and family. They're very lovable and affable dogs. They get into your head, greyhounds. They're wonderful dogs.
So we just spent a little time with three dogs and three greyhounds, and I'll tell you, coming in, I've been to races, I've seen the speed, I've seen the I guess the agility and I guess also the energy levels that you I guess synonymous with greyhounds, and I sort of expected to see that when I saw three greyhounds. What I found was three very, very docile animals that it was very lovable. And love the attention, the complete opposite. So I think it reaffirms what you were saying before, that they may have been bred to be racers, but they're also very loyal animals, just as every other breed. One thing you did bring up, and I want to talk about, because I think if someone is saying, you know what, this really sounds great, I want to know more about it, but I have a concern about the cost of an animal, what it takes to maintain. Here's one. You're right. It was an athlete, so potentially, I know if I were in that situation, I'd be saying, okay, what's the long-term longevity? So if you could kind of compare it to the programs that you have both in Australia and New Zealand of the aftercare. Have you experienced any, I guess maybe health concerns for the animals, kind of long-term, after their career in racing?
Generally not. They are a very durable dog. They generally retire average somewhere north of 3.5 years, 3.5 or 4 years old. And so typically that is the a sort of average adoption age, is that sort of 4 years. They're extremely well trained. That they have not. These dogs have been trained since the day they were born. They're handled very early neurological training as tiny little puppies, and then they're trained right through their life. And then when they're retired, they come to our training and they get excellent training. And so by the time they get onto a Greyhounds as Pets program, they are extremely well trained and generally quite well behaved. They're just like human beings, of course, though. Yeah. There'll be the ones that are a bit more rambunctious than the others, and there'll be docile ones, and there'll be everything in between. But
so you can't guarantee they're not going to chase a squirrel.
No, we don't have squirrels in Australia, and I'm not sure.
Well, we have them here, and rabbits, and I was curious about that.
I'm sure none of our Australian Greyhounds have ever seen a squirrel, so we'll have to do some training on that one. But we very specifically train the chase out of them effectively. We don't want them chasing a cat down the street, and nor does anyone else. But so we do that. It's to take the chase out of them and to just develop them there. They're going from a racing kennel as an athlete into a home, and it's just that transition period and the training in between that makes them right. As far as cost of keeping a greyhound, I'll express it in US dollars. It costs about $600 a year to feed a typical dog in that 55, 60 pound range. And of course, you can spend much more than that if you want, depending on whether you want to feed it prime rib or not. But it does not cost a huge amount of money to keep a greyhound, especially for the value they add to your life. Their value is much greater than the $600 a year you might spend on pet food. But and as far as vet bills and things, they are like any other pet. If you have difficulty at some stage with them, if you trip over them running or do something, then you'll be off to the vet. But that's like any other pet, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So if somebody wanted to explore more about this program, I mean, at least in the partnership that we have, we're still developing a lot of the logistics of how all of this happens. But there's a lot of information out there already. All you have to do is look at the Australia and New Zealand Association or your website. It's going to give you a real good outline. If somebody wants to know more about the possibility of how this fits in and how it might be fit into their lifestyle, where can they go to get that information? So
the Greyhounds Australasia website is I'll say that carefully, we say it's GALTD.org.au. And if they go on there, if any of your police officers go on there, they will see a tab for police and they can follow that up. Or if they want to look more generally at pets, we have another website called GAPNSW.com.au, and we have a police tab on there, and that talks about the various levels of service dog that are available. They're not available like pluck them off the shelf. They are available on application, and then we will make them for you.
Okay.
So this is not commodity sitting on a shelf. This is a very tailored program to suit the needs of our wonderful greyhounds and your wonderful people. And it literally is like that. It is a one-on-one pairing. So if they have a look at either one of those websites, GALTD or GAPNSW.com.au, they will find some stuff. And I'm sure in due course, Patrick, your organisation will set up its own tab.
All right, absolutely. We'll be kind of sorting all these things out over the next couple of weeks, but it's a great program. If you're interested in an animal, a dog, a greyhound that has been well cared for, probably more than a lot of people, and as a probably 3-4 year range, that could be a great service dog or a great pet. Here's an opportunity to find what I was amazed to just see how docile they were and how loving they were.
And you can get your very own Aussie mate.
There you go.
House.
Absolutely.
They even come with an Australian passport.
That's it.
They genuinely do.
We've made them an Australian passport. Yeah.
Guys, is there anything we missed? Anything else you'd like to share before we wrap this up?
we're thrilled to be in Washington and thrilled to be working with the FOP. Thank you very much.
Indeed.
And we're very much looking forward to working further with you and your members across the United States.
Great. Well, we're looking forward to thank both of you, as well as the other guys you got coming in. We might do another podcast with a couple of those as well. But look, here's a program that has worked great. It's worked great in two countries, and there's no reason why it can't be duplicated here. We look forward to this great partnership. And I see some great things coming with it. So pay attention. We got some great information coming down the line. I want to thank our viewers and listeners who have tuned in to the Blue View podcast, where we talk about the issues that are so vitally important to the men and women who suit up and show up every day in America and make our community safe. Thank you.
Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. To get the latest from the National FOP, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Facebook at GLFOP, and on Instagram at FOP National. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.